So the first card you have for your past is the Hierophant. So I think this can be about teaching, this can be about guiding people, it can be about a lot of different things. But I think you were trying to help someone, I think you were trying to teach someone at this time. And it was almost as if you felt as if what you were saying wasn't quite getting through to them. I think you might have had to actually tell someone quite a hard truth about themselves. And, you cared about them, you wanted to help them. I think, you were kind with the way you were speaking to them. I don't think you were bossy or anything like me. The thing was, they came to you as well. So they came to you for advice. So it wasn't as if you were kind of giving them this unwanted advice and you were saying, oh, do this, do that. It wasn't like that. They came to you and said, can you help me? What can I do about this? And so that's what you did. You started to help them. But they just couldn't see, I think, that they had a part in their problem. I think they were kind of blaming other people or whatever. And you were very close to this person as well, because I don't think you would have been as kind of real with someone who was an acquaintance. So I think this was someone who you were close with. Now, if this is resonating and you went away from this feeling as if they didn't learn anything or they didn't understand or whatever, they did get something out of this, even if it doesn't look like that to you. I think you did plant a small seed inside their mind. And I think over the next few weeks or whatever, when they're going about their day or doing whatever they're doing, I think your words are going to jump back into their mind. And I think gradually they are going to see things in a more realistic way. So if you're wondering, something did go in there. So yeah, the next card you have your past is the Nine of Cups. Okay, so this is a little bit, I'm actually seeing something's a little bit dodgy here. This is someone who might have offered you something, and I think this is around work. Or you went and applied for it, but I think it was someone who offered it to you. I think this was someone who came to you. And I think initially when you heard about this, you were a little bit tempted by this. You thought, well, this sounds really fantastic. A bit too good to be true, really, which is usually means it's something dodgy. You're interested, at least interested in hearing about what this was about. But kind of after a while, when you learned a bit more, you really had not such a good feeling around this. And I think that was because something was hidden from you. And, I think you asked them questions, maybe you tried to find out what was going on, but I think they're either a little bit vague or they didn't really give you very satisfying answers. And there's a reason why that is. Now, if you haven't found out the actual reason, the concrete reason, I think you will find out that soon. But at this time, you didn't have an actual reason. You just had a feeling as to why you thought there were bad news or wasn't quite right. It was like something wasn't right about this. Now, I'm not saying this person's a criminal or anything terrible like, well, they might be actually. But yeah, it's pointing that way, actually. It is. Maybe they are. Because the man on this card, he's showing us only what he wants to show us. He's saying, look at all my gold. I've got all these gold cups. Look how amazing I am. Look what I can offer you. Look what I can bring to you. I can bring you these coins and look how big and fat I am. I've got everything I want. But he's hiding things behind this curtain. He doesn't want to show us something. The other thing about this man is he's wearing stripes. Now, I'm probably going to go off because I think this kind of stuff's interesting. So if you want to switch off and move forward into the reading, you can, but I'm going to talk about this. So in medieval times, striped clothes were for, prisoners. That's why you see kind of prisoners with the kind of stereotypical striped, black and white striped outfit. So striped clothes were for prisoners and for any kind of profession that, let's say, was not that great as far as society was concerned at that time anyway. Now, stripes were also associated with barber's poles. The barber's poles that kind of turn around and they're stripy. Now, the original barber's pole was something that people had to actually grip onto for dear life, because they were hurting. Because in those days, barbers performed surgery sometimes, minor surgery on people. And of course, there was no anesthetic or anything like that. And they'd pull teeth out as well, which is horrible. Sorry if you're eating something, I'm sorry. But yeah, if you see a barber's pole, that's where it originally came from. It came from that. So anyway, I'm going off track, I'm sorry. But what I'm trying to say is stripes have very negative connotations in the time where, these cards weren't made in that time, but they're based on the costumes of medieval and also Renaissance times, so they kind of borrow a lot from different times. But yeah, so that's where the stripes come from. So sorry if that's boring, but yeah, obviously something not so great was going on with this person, and I think you knew that. You kind of felt that you still probably might not have the facts, or you didn't at this time, this is in the past, but it's going to come out. I think you're going to find out exactly what's going to happen around this dodgy person and this dodgy deal that you said to no to. And I think when you find that out, you're going to be extremely relieved that you said no to this, if this is resonating with you. So the last card you have your past is the Four of Pentacles. So yeah, look at this. This is what they made you feel like. It was like you were saying to yourself, I'm not sure about this. I'm going to protect myself, like this man, and I'm going to protect my money as well. And I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did, because I think this person might have swallowed some of your money. They might have said, oh, you have to pay for this bit up front, and then, then we'll give you... No. So the other thing I'm seeing in this card is a love connection. I think you might have been keeping your feelings to yourself about this. I don't think anyone knew how you felt about this person. You were kind of hugging yourself, keeping yourself to yourself. This person was definitely on your mind. And I think what was happening was they were just kind of randomly jumping into your mind at different times. So you couldn't really get them out of your mind. And you missed the closeness with them. I think what you missed with them, this is someone who you had a connection with before. So, you might even have quite a history with this person. But what you missed was hugging them, being close to them, because I'm looking at this man that's hugging this coin. So you wanted to hug them. It wasn't like you were just sitting around crying with them all the time, about them all the time, I should say. You weren't kind of like, oh, I miss them, but they were on your mind. So I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I'm just seeing this. I think there was something about you that they found a little bit unusual, not in a bad way. I think they saw this as a positive, not a negative, but it was something that they had to kind of get used to, sort of in their head, get around this in their head. I hope that makes sense. I don't think that was a reason why you separated from them, but I think they always had this little thing like, oh yeah, this person is like this, or they do this, or something like that, and they were like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure about that. That's the kind of thing. And again, I don't think they saw that as a negative. It was just something a little bit different that they had to kind of get used to. But yeah, and then I think when they looked back on this, I think they kind of started to understand that a lot better. So I think if they do ever come back to you in the future, I think they would have gotten over whatever that was. I hope that makes sense to you. And yeah, now that I'm looking at this properly, I think you probably will meet again at some time. I think this is someone who might actually live near you, or they work near you. They're kind of in the same area geographically as you. So if you do connect again, I'm seeing there'll probably be a very slow start, but there is definitely a possibility of a connection there. But, don't sit around waiting for this. Do things, get busy, date other people if you want to, because I'm not seeing a great, big, strong love connection that kind of bursts out of the sky and says, oh, ta-da, great big trumpets. It's not like that. This is a kind of a friendship, like you might meet them again. your friends, and then it develops slowly, and then it may or may not turn into love, and if it does, it's slow. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but and it's uncertain whether that will actually turn into love. It's a possibility, but I wish I could give you more assurance, but I don't want to do that unless I can see it really clearly. But don't wait around for this, but I am seeing that there is a big possibility and a probably I should say, that you will actually meet them, see them again, and at least become friends. So the first card you have your present is Justice. Right, so this is what I'm seeing. This is about this Nine of Cups dodgy person, this stripy barber pole person. So you walked away from this. It's fantastic. I'm really glad you did. This is going to come to light. This is justice. There's a curtain behind the woman in this card, and when it drops, you'll know exactly what's been happening. And I'm getting the feeling that other people are going to come out and talk about this as well. I think they've done some damage to some other people as well, or they've kind of affected a lot of different people in their kind of dodgy dealings or whatever it is. And I'm glad your name wasn't associated with them either, because it would have been quite bad for you and your reputation as well. I think they're going to try and cover some things up. I think they're going to try to lie to cover things up. There's a lot of covering up in that Nine of Cups card. And it's just a great big mess, actually. But like any of these things, it's a really good thing when they come out so that they're exposed and they don't keep on doing what they're doing. I think a lot of this is going to come out online, probably on social media. And I think people will definitely hear all about this. And I think when they do, even more people are going to start to hear this, and more people will come out and say more things, and it's going to kind of snowball like that. And you'll be there watching all of this, and your eyes will become wider and wider as each thing's revealed. So this is all going to come out, and you are going to be so relieved that you had nothing to do with this. So the next card you have your present is Temperance. So this and the Justice card can both be about karma. Obviously, this is a complex card. It can be about a lot of things, but that's one of the things it can be about. So again, this is reassuring me or you that this is going to come out. This information is going to come out. The other thing I'm seeing in this card is that you're a really independent person. You know you are. And, I see that about you all the time. I know that you are. And, I think you've had some problems with independence in the past. Not that there's anything wrong with being independent, but you've had problems with people around you who've had to deal with that independence, especially in love. I think you had some, and friendships as well. I think you had some people who were happy to accept one side of your independence. They were happy to accept that you were financially independent. Maybe they were even happy to accept, you helping them out or buying things for them or something like that. So they wanted to benefit from that side, but they weren't happy with the other side of that, which was you actually having to spend the time doing the work. So spending time away from them. So you can't have it both ways. One comes with the other, and you know that. But this person who you're thinking about, they're also a very independent person. So you won't have any problems with that with this person, if they do come back into a relationship with you. But not the reason, but the fact that you're independent and they are says to me that this is going to take a long time to develop, if it does, just because you're going to be very busy, they're going to be very busy, and they won't have a lot of, practical time to spend on, relationships. I think that's what I'm seeing there as well. So, there are pluses and minuses to that. But I also see, I think, there might be someone else who you're going to be introduced to. A love connection, another one, a second one. So I think you're going to meet this person. I think someone's going to introduce you to this second person. And yeah, they're really attractive. They are really, really attractive. There's passion here as well. And I think this meeting's probably going to force you to question your feelings for the other person. Maybe not your feelings, but it's going to kind of open up this kind of wild card in the equation, if that makes sense. So, I'm getting a different kind of love around each one of them. This second person definitely has a lot of passion with these red wings on this angel. But, you have a history with the first person and you know them on a much deeper level and you understand them a lot better. So you kind of feel safer with them even though you're not actually with them. So I think this connection, the connection's still there. So it's going to bring up a lot of questions. I think you're going to be quite undecided around this whole thing for a while. So the last card you have your presence, the Three of Swords. Yeah. So, usually this is a heartbreak card, this is all sad and all of that. I'm not seeing that here. I think this is, again, about this confusion in your heart, this kind of divided heart between one person, the first person, and the second person. And I think that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to kind of decide, what am I going to go with here? Which path am I going to follow here? Now, for me, I think that the first person, even though you care about them, you're not actually with them. You're not in a relationship with them. You're not even a friend with them at this time. You probably will be in the future, but not now. And the second person has a real relationship, or at least a real, potential relationship with them. And you think they're attractive. There's passion around this as well. So if I were you, I'd say yes to that, because don't feel as if you're kind of, not cheating or whatever, but don't feel bad about going out with a second person if you have the other person on your mind, because they're just in your mind, that's all. They're not in a relationship with you. And, I think if you do at least give the second person a chance, it might give your head more of it might help your head to make a better decision. It might clear it up one way or the other. You might think, oh, actually, I really like this second person and I really want a future with them and I really want to keep on seeing them. So that clears all that up for me. Now I know which path to go on. Or you might realize, no, I don't really want that person. I really still have feelings for the first one, or this person isn't really for me. I'm not going to take things any further. So doing that might actually clear up this division that you have and this confusion that you have. So if that all makes sense to you, if that's all resonating, of course you do whatever you want, but that might give you something to think about around that. So the first card you have for your future is the Ace of Swords. So this is interesting as well. This is the clarity card. This is the straight up and down logic, all of that kind of thing. I think you might be getting some kind of a real, I shouldn't say proposal, but sort of like offer, some kind of offer, and this is around your work or your business. So I'm glad you are, because you missed out on this other one, and I'm glad you missed out on the other one because it was very dodgy. You don't want to have anything to do with that person. But this is a real proposal, and when you see this, I think you'll know that this is real right away. I think with the other one, you're like, oh, I don't know. But with this, you'll be like, yes, I know what this is. This is very clear cut. This is very logical. This is all very clean. It's laid out professionally and all of that. So you'll know, okay, I trust this. So I think also any negotiations you have to make around this, I think they're going to be really calm, really logical. And I think whoever's behind this, I think when you first meet them, you might feel as if they're a little bit cold to you, but actually, they're well organized and they're business-like. So I think you'll kind of appreciate that in them, because they're the complete opposite of this other kind of dodgy person. I mean, look at the man on the Nine of Cups again. He's got this big smile on his face and he's like, hee hee, look at me. but you'd rather have someone who's a little bit cold, especially in business, who is straight up and down, straightforward, logical, honest, all of that. You'd rather have that than someone with a big smile on their face who is hiding things from you. You know that. So, yeah, I think you will do this. I think you will do this. I think this is something that is going to take time again. I think you will say yes to this, but I think the actual time that you start this work might not actually start for, it might be months, it might not even be until next year. But try not to be impatient, because this is a very professional, well thought out contract or proposal or whatever this is, and this is exactly what you want. And I think you do need time to sort that out anyway, to kind of work out how you're going to work this around the work you're already doing. So, and also the other thing with this is, it might not be a huge amount of money. It'll be a nice amount of money, but it's not going to be a massive amount. And I think this other dodgy proposal, I think they were kind of offering you all these kind of crazy things. But the thing is, they weren't real, and this is real. So don't compare this to that at all. It's a completely different thing. And I think the benefits to this are going to be a lot more than money. And this is just more realistic than that. This is very realistic. It's very real. The other one wasn't. So the next card you have for your future is the Two of Wands. So yeah, here we are. You have decisions to make, and I think this is around this contract or this proposal that's coming in. I think, yeah, you have a lot of decisions to make. You're going to have to work out whether it's going to fit in with your work already, because you have a lot of work that you're doing. You're always very, very busy. I think this has some travel attached to it as well, this new proposal. I'm seeing you actually on the road, planning all of that, contemplating when you're going to do that. So yeah, a lot of logistics to think about. But yeah, I think again, you'll definitely say yes to this, because also I think it links up in some way with something else you really want to get going as well. Some other project, some other side business or something like that that you really, really, really wanted to do. So I think this has a link to that. So I think that's another reason why you're going to say yes to this, because it helps you in the other thing as well. So I hope that makes sense to you. But yeah, you're going to say yes. You're going to say yes. The last card you have for your future is the Knight of Pentacles. Same thing again. The growth is going to be slow. The wait is going to be slow. You're going to have to wait for a long time to get this money here that this Knight has, but it is coming. You already have a lot of work anyway, so I think you are going to be determined to do this no matter what happens. I'm actually seeing some people around you who might be a little bit worried about you when you tell them about this. They might say, oh, how are you going to do that on top of everything else you've got to do? Why are you doing that? What are you doing that for? Are you going to have to travel and be away from us? That's not good. But I think, whatever happens, whatever anyone says, you're still going to go forth and do this. There is some stress around this, but I think, you're going to be able to deal with that. This is what you really want to do. And again, it ties in with something that you have a lot of love for. So, a big, huge, interesting love project. Not love, but it's kind of a project you love that's around work. So that's going to help you out with that again. So I won't say any more. I'm just repeating myself because I'm seeing similar messages in those cards.